here I am with another package. And yes, it's another flashlight video review, and kind of unusual for the worship blender here to have so many flashlight review videos. It was not my intent, but well, I wanted to buy a new flashlight a few weeks back and kind of got carried away and tried out a few different trying out a few different flashlights and seeing what I like. So I just figured I'd go ahead and review all of them as I try them out. So here's the next one. I've already opened the package, of course, here. And this flashlight is the Olight Warrior 3S. Awesome. And I gotta admit, I gotta be transparent with you. I've already opened it. So I couldn't resist. I just dived right into it, and I realized, oh yeah, I've got to do an unboxing video. So I boxed it back up. So yeah, it's already been opened. Normally it would have cellophane around it, and so already the cellophane is off, of course. But it's got this nice little magnetic flap here on the side, and voila, it opens up. And then it's got this little insert here. Take that out. And this was a surprise to me. Check this out. It comes packaged in a holster. So that's pretty cool. And that's a pretty nice little holster there. It's definitely a lot nicer than the holsters that Phoenix provides. Yeah, big difference there. So anyway, yeah, it's all packaged up in this nice little holster. And to open it up, there's a little push button here. You push on it and you pull out the flap there. And then of course you pull out the flashlight. Voila, look at that beauty. That is gorgeous. Olight really makes a good looking flashlight, and I have to admit I have a real soft spot for orange. At least this, burnt orange, metallic orange color, because of course I bought, another orange flashlight from them just a week or two earlier. So yeah, I like this color a lot. And so yeah, it's here's the flashlight. And when you turn it, or when you first open it up, it doesn't turn on, because you got to open it up like so. There'll be a little plastic insert in here. And the reason for this is to make sure it doesn't accidentally turn on while shipping, because you don't want that to happen, because even though it's got proximity sensor on it, which I'll get to later, still you don't want it overheating while, turning on and overheating while it's in a box, and that could be potentially dangerous, possibly start a fire. But anyway, take out this little plastic doohickey that blocks the battery from turning on, and then put this back on, seal it back up. And then voila, woo, that's a lot of light. And it's interesting in that it's got a half press to go to medium brightness, and then a full press to go to turbo. And then it's also, you can turn it on and off via the switch, the side switch. So, and push and hold to go through 3 different brightness levels, which is low, medium, and high. And then it also gives you a little indicator here of what setting you're on the left, and then what your battery indication is on the right. And that turns on every time I activate the switch in any way. See, now it's saying it's off on the left, and then it was full power. And yeah, I charged it after I originally opened it, so it doesn't normally come with a fully charged battery, although it was pretty close to being fully charged when I did get it. So turn it on again. You see it's on the low setting there. And if I were to cycle through and get some brighter settings, you can see it goes up into the higher settings here on the left here of the button. And yeah, so that's pretty cool. You can get into moonlight mode too. If I push and hold, it'll go into moonlight mode. So that's pretty cool. And then you can also go into a strobe mode by, well, anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's save all that for the UI section of the video. Let's go ahead and continue the unboxing. Like I said, you have the little plastic insert here. Take the little doohickey out for the battery. Got the holster. Open this package back up, and it's a nice display packaging that they have here. A lot of people mention that it makes for a nice gift in the way it's presented, and I would definitely have to agree there. So here is the rest of the supplies that come with it, which of course the manual and the Olight charging cable, which it looks like this one's just like the other one that I got for this flashlight, which works good, but only downside to it, if I can get this plastic off. There we go. Only downside to it is that it's not very long. So that's the only downside of these charging cables, is they're not very long. So basically that's what's in the package. Now, I also got another flashlight that came with this, and this was a freebie from Olight. I don't think every time you buy the Olight Warrior 3S, it comes with a freebie. They were just having a flash sale, so this was a little bonus add-on. I'll go ahead and open this up. First time opening it here. And so kind of cool, nice little flashlight, or excuse me, keychain flashlight. So pretty simple, probably takes, I'm assuming, a AAA battery. Looks like it's probably like I guess it's a twisty head design. Yeah, there we go. Which I don't really use these types of flashlights anymore. I used to have a twisty head flashlight, but I don't really particularly care for the twisty head lights. So yeah, so thank you, Olight, but I don't think I'll be needing that. All right, so that is the unboxing of the flashlight. All right, so now let's talk about the UI of the flashlight, and also some of the pros and cons of the UI as well, and compare it to some other similar flashlights. Now, the user interface is, I'll say it's clever, it's well thought out, and at the same time, I can't say that it's the exact perfect user interface for me, but it is pretty cool. So let me show you here. I showed you a little earlier during the unboxing, some of the quick hits on it, on how to operate it. It's got two switches, tail switch and the side switch, and they both can turn on the flashlight. So that's pretty cool. I'm used to flashlights where you turn it on with the tail switch, and then you make just brightness setting changes with the side switch, but not be able to turn it on or off with the side switch. But this one you actually can, which is cool. So you've got two ways, depending on where your hand is, to turn it on and off. And click, of course, once and it turns it on. Push and hold to cycle through 3 different brightness settings: low, medium, and high. And it'll tell you on the display which one you're on. 3 dots there. Now on high, press and hold again. I'm on medium. There you go. Low, medium. So there you go. 3 different settings that you can get to right from the side switch. Now you can also get to a moonlight mode by pushing and holding. Then that'll turn on moonlight mode. And the display here will give you 1 green dot, which is the same as if you're in low. Low and moonlight both share 1 dot there. But there's 4 dots there, so there's a dot that we're not getting to from the side switch for turbo. And that's where the tail switch comes into play. And the tail switch on it, I'm very picky about tail switches, and this one is actually it's actually a good tail switch, even though I'm more used to the more mechanical tail switch, where you've got, like in the case of Phoenix, where you've got it's like a rubberized cover over like a mechanical tail switch. You push halfway in order to get the momentary on, release, and it shuts off, or push till it fully clicks and then it stays on. So that's what I'm used to. That's what my muscle memory is used to. In this case, you half push, and this is, by the way, the default setting. There's also another setting that I'll show you as well. But you half press in order to go to medium, so that way you can get quickly to the medium setting on the flashlight. Or you can fully push to get to turbo. Now we're on turbo on the display. Let me do that again. You can see, let me do that one more time, get it in the camera. You can see it goes onto turbo mode there. So that's pretty clever. However, I've got to relearn my muscle memory here because as you see, if I push and hold, it's momentary on, and I'm fully pressing the switch down, and when I release, then it switches off. So that's a little baffling to me. So if I want it to stay on, I have to quickly push and hold it. So I got to release it quickly enough. Whereas if I push and just wait, pause for just a second, it doesn't stay on. It thinks I'm in momentary mode. And that's weird to me. So push and then, oh, see, I gotta push it, make sure I push it really quick to make sure I'm turning the light on. And then if I want, since we got this shortcut with a half press to get to medium, which I like that it's on there, I have to kind of half push and release really quickly too to have it stay on. Otherwise, if I half press and hold it for just a second and let go, it turns off. So you just have to be aware of that if you're used to another type of flashlight, like for me, for Phoenixes, and also going back a number of years when I was carrying a Surefire flashlight, they all tended to work this way with this type of tail switch, and so this one's a little bit different to get used to. Now, what I do like about this tail switch is that it does have it has a good amount of resistance. You can actually feel the resistance, and I don't know if you can see it on the camera. It's kind of hard to tell because it's so recessed down in the body, but you can I don't know if you can see me kind of pushing, and you can feel the resistance against my finger, which is nice. So that's good. I can feel the resistance, and then I can fully push, and I can feel a click. So I feel the resistance, then I feel the click. Whereas on this other flashlight, this Phoenix flashlight, which I got, which is, by the way, a fantastic flashlight, but this switch really, I've been frustrated with it because otherwise this is like a perfect flashlight. I love this flashlight, but this switch drives me bonkers because it's different from all my other Phoenix flashlights in that you half push to turn it on, a full press to keep it on. So it's momentary on, half press. Okay, I'm used to that. Full press to turn it on, I'm used to that. But you can't tell when you get to a full press. So you feel a little bit of resistance, but there's no click. So if I'm momentary awning or full awning, it's really hard to tell the difference. So that really bugs me about this flashlight, but on this one you can feel the resistance and then there's a click. Like on this one here, you feel the resistance, you hear that click, there's no mistake in that. And you feel that click is something you feel. Where this one, I don't know if you can hear that, it's not as loud. So you at least get half push. You can kind of feel something there. So that's good. Now this, the thing I don't like about this tail switch is that since it is recessed, like say if you go and you grab it, you really have to have your thumb over it to push. And I kind of feel like my thumb is like, I almost have to get over it like this with my thumb. And I can tell you there's been a few times I've heard the joint in my thumb crack or pop from having to get up on it to turn this light on. So then the advantage of this switch is that I can push it from really anywhere. I mean, as long as I get on top of it in any way, it's going to turn on. So that's nice. But this one, I'm honestly trying. There we go. I mean, you've really got to get leverage on it. So only half the times I'm doing that, it's coming on. You have to really be mindful to get down in there and turn it on. So my concern on this is then, in a self-defense situation, you're trying to, if you don't have quite the grip on it, well, it's probably going to work, but you really got to fight with it. Plus you got these 3 little notches here, which of course is for the magnetic charger and also to allow you to tail stand, which is nice. I'm glad that it can tail stand. That tail standing is a very handy feature of a flashlight. But the thing that's most important to me is to be able to quickly get to that switch. And so this flashlight can't tail stand, but I don't care, because when I want a flashlight for self-defense, a pocket flashlight, I don't really need a tail stand capability. I want a tail switch that's going to be able to come on easily without any interference. It just, there's a split second delay, and then having to get up on there and really work it and make sure I've got a good grip on it. So that's the downside there. However, there is, just yesterday I saw somebody on Facebook who was creating a product, an add-on product for this flashlight. And it's really cool. And it's just an individual. I don't think he has any company name or anything like that, but I'm definitely following him to find out some more information. And he's created a overlay for the back of the flashlight, and his reason is for I guess his job, he gets a lot of metal shavings and stuff like this on the tail switch because of the magnetic aspect of it. And so he wanted to cover that so that he could use the flashlight without attracting these metal shavings. I guess that's an issue with a lot of people in industrial jobs. And so he actually created an insert or cap that goes over it, whatever you want to call it. And I forget what kind of material it's made out of, but I think it has like a little magnet at the base of it. So when it goes over, that magnet sticks to the tail switch itself, and then it just becomes a cover that blocks out anything from getting any, from the magnet attracting anything because of whatever material it's made out of. But the thing where I think would be a really great advantage to me is that then it makes that whole cap that comes over it becomes a tail switch itself. So all you have to do is just press on that tail cap anywhere, and that'll push it down onto the switch. So I need to find out more information. Like I said, it's somebody who just posted this yesterday that I saw it on Facebook, and so I want to get some more information on that. And it's off the Olight Facebook fan page. So if you want to get some more information on that, in anything with Olight products, definitely follow their Facebook page, and you'll be able to get a lot of additional information on their products. I do recommend that, but I wish I had more information, but literally he just posted it yesterday. He's just producing some test products right now. He doesn't even have things into officially being made as an official product or anything. So, but definitely something to keep your eyes out on. Who knows, maybe even Olight might make a similar kind of aftermarket product for the flashlight that can fit on there and serve that purpose to both block metal shavings in his case, or in my case, to be able to have a tail switch that's easier to push down. Okay, I'm babbling on that too much. Let me move on. The one thing I haven't showed you on this flashlight is the other auxiliary mode. Actually, before I do that, I forgot to mention to you that there is a memory on this front switch, and it will remember moonlight setting, but it will not remember strobe or turbo. And so if you turn on the flashlight and you turn it off, it's always going to come back on to the last setting you had it on. So let's move it to a different setting. Now we've got it on high, turn it off, turns on high. Turn it off, you push and hold to get to moonlight. Now we're on moonlight, turn it off, turn it on, it's on moonlight. And now when we cycle through the different brightness settings, what's it doing? Why is that? Okay, try that one more time. Okay, it's on. Whoa. I don't know what it's doing. Oh, I know what I'm doing. The proximity sensor. It's reminding me, hey, you got to talk about the proximity sensor. All right, so let me continue what I was talking about here. You cycle through it. So now after you go on the moonlight mode, it's now going to cycle through low, medium, and high. It's not going to cycle back to moonlight mode. It's just going to save it. And then the first time you turn it on again, it'll be a moonlight. But once you start cycling it, it's not going to remember moonlight mode after that unless you turn it off, push and hold to get to moonlight mode. And I just accidentally showed you another feature it has. It does have a lockout. So if I push it, you see it, a little red light turns on, tells me it's in lockout mode. And that's because I got to push down, hold it, and now it'll come out of lockout mode. So what happened is when I was turning it onto moonlight mode to show you, push and hold, but I held it too long, and then that put it into lockout mode. So You push and hold for a second, then it comes in the moonlight mode, but if you hold it over 2 seconds, then it'll go, it's making a liar out of me now. If you hold it over 2 seconds, then it goes in the lockout mode. So now it's locked out. Can't do anything from either button. It's locked out unless you push and hold for a second. Now it's back. All right. So, and then you've got the little display. I think I mentioned that. The battery on the right and the setting on the left of what the light setting is. Also, I guess I can also mention, it does have, you can get to turbo mode on the side switch, which is cool. Double click and it'll go to turbo. Or you can go to strobe warning here. Triple click to get to strobe, 1, 2, 3. That's a pretty nasty strobe, so we'll turn that off. Okay, so to get to the other mode that it has, like I said, the default setting is it has the half press, medium, full press turbo, but you can reassign this tail switch so it can be half press turbo, full press strobe. It's a little tricky. The directions aren't really clear, so I had to experiment with this for a few times, but you have to, it's basically click, hold, and then push the side switch and then let go. So here we go, and you'll see it light up when I do this too. Push, hold, click. Okay, now turbo, half on the half press, full press now will be strobe warning. And what's interesting too is in this particular setting on the tail switch, it's only momentary on in both cases. You can't do a quick half press to get to turbo on. You can't do a quick full press to get to strobe on. You only have half press momentary on, full press momentary on. And so that's a little unusual. I'm not sure why they did that. Especially since it's harder to get a good purchase here on that switch. You don't want to lose your lighting when you're in a tactical situation because your light's getting kind of moved around in your hand and your thumb doesn't stay seated on the switch. And then as a result, the light's not constantly staying on. It's kind of, going off and on as your finger's kind of moving on that switch. So I don't know why they did that, but I don't particularly agree with it, but I guess there's a reason for it. I'm sure there's other people who prefer it that way, but I would have liked it to stayed on when you click and release, but that's just me. Okay, so I think I covered everything on the actual UI itself. I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Oh yeah, the proximity sensor, since it reminded me. It has this proximity sensor that's really cool. As I get closer, let me see here, I think it only does it on the high setting, high or turbo. That's, what mode are we on here? Yeah, it's on medium, so on high, yeah, high it's gonna step down as it gets closer. So watch as my hand gets closer. It steps down, steps up, steps down, steps up. And that proximity sensor, it'll step down on purpose, and there's good reasoning for that. Number one, if I'm looking at something up close, you don't want to get the flashback from the reflection of the light in your eyes and, kind of end up blinding yourself because it's so bright. So if you forget to turn the flashlight down to a lower setting when you go to look at something up close, it steps down and makes it easier on your eyes, which is clever. Also, because if you get close to something or say if you put it down on, a piece of cloth or something like that, and it's on the high setting and this area of the flashlight, the head of the flashlight starts heating up, well, you could potentially start a fire. And so by stepping down to the medium setting, then that just helps to keep the heat down and keep things a little safer. And I think it's a clever design there. So I do like that proximity sensor, and you can override it as well. So if you want to keep it on, say for example, you do intentionally want to start a fire, maybe you're in a survival situation out in the woods and you need to start a campfire to stay warm, well then you're going to want to turn off that proximity sensor. And let me see if I can remember how to do that. That's in high. Oops, let me do that again. There we go. You just double click when it steps down and that will override it. So now it's not going to step down when I get closer. All right. All right, so let's talk about the clip on this flashlight. Now it does have a two-way clip, as you can see here, this way or that way, which is good. And you can also take this off, and it's always gets my fingers when I do it. It really sits on there tight. Oh, it's gonna pop my fingers. Oh, there we go. Wasn't too bad that time. So you can swap it around like this. And it's really, like I said, it really it grabs on there good. It stays put. So now you can have a deep pocket carry. However, there is a downside to the deep pocket carry in that this knurling is really good. I love it in the hands, but it's very rough on fabric. So if you try to deep carry this, then you're just going to get, it's really going to tear up your pocket of your pants when you put it in, and I'll demonstrate that. So to me, you know, on this flashlight, I had the same kind of issue. And I had mentioned on this one, and since this one you only have one way with the clip, you can't spin it this way and you can't reverse it either. So you only have it this way. So I thought, well, it would have made sense if they just made one flat strip right here in order to give you the ability to have it slide into your pants easily without it shredding your pockets. And so I wasn't sure why they didn't do that. And that's the one downside of this flashlight as a everyday carry flashlight. You know, you can't have it as an everyday carry flashlight if it's going to chew up your pants. Well, obviously the same situation now exists for this flashlight, but I was thinking, since it's got two areas where you can clip it in, I actually came up with an idea. So Olight, if you're listening, you might want to create like an aftermarket clip that can solve a problem for you. If you want to deep carry like this, you can actually make a secondary clip. It can be the exact same clip. However, add an additional piece of metal that goes underneath, attach it. It goes from here, and it's a single strip, yay wide. And it goes from here all the way to here. And then you have another metal section that wraps around like this, just like it does here. And then that way, regardless of whichever way you want to put the clip, it clips right in. And it also would give you, even though it doesn't need it because it's so solid, but it would also make the clip even more secure on the flashlight itself. And then since it would be a piece of metal from here back to here, when you clip it into your pants pockets, then it would ride on that smooth metal piece all the way in, and you wouldn't have any of that jaggedness happening on the knurling. It would totally bypass that. And so, yeah, Olight, I hope you're listening. I think that would be a great idea. It'd be an easy way to solve the issue, and it doesn't involve any changes to the design of the flashlight itself. It's just a change to the clip, and you can just have that clip as an aftermarket clip, charge, you know, $5-10 or whatever, make some extra cash for people who want to have a different clip that makes it better for pocket carry, deep carry, and there you go. So so deep carrying it is a little bit of a problem because of this knurling. So I tend to right now, unfortunately, I can't really deep carry it as, see this thing's, clips on good. Ow, pinches my finger. Ooh, there we go. So I don't tend to deep carry it yet anyway. And I'll show you why. But I tend to carry it this way and then use the reverse clip here to slide down into my pocket. So then I still have this much of the flashlight sticking up out of my pocket, which is kind of a pain, but it does make it easier to grab it when you want to pull it out. And since it's on this part of the clip, which slides down between the metal here, your pants aren't touching the knurling, so they're not getting all chewed up. It just takes a little bit longer to, you know, you got to play with it a little bit more to get it into your pants pocket, but it makes for less wear and tear on your clothing. So let me go ahead and show you what that actually looks like. Okay, so now let's demonstrate how the Warrior 3S pocket carries, and we'll try it in all 4 different orientations that it has available. The first one being like this, and okay, here's the first issue that I want to point out, is even though it can go another ½ inch or so there, you have to really, it doesn't go past, there it goes, now it goes all the way down. So it gets hung up at that part of the clip. I really had to push down hard on that to get that to go in. I mean, if the clip's out a little bit, I guess it will go in a little better, I don't know, but it takes a little bit to get it down in there. Just something to know. Pulling out, and again, you're going to get, I don't think it's as bad on the Warrior 3 as it was on the Baton 3, but you do get the knurling really catching on the material of my pants. Listen for it. Hear that saw blade? Like I said, I don't think it's as bad as on the Baton 3, but it's not ideal. However, you can turn the flashlight around this way, and then there you got to catch the lip on that side of the clip, and then you can have it pocket carry that way. Now it does poke out a little bit here, but since it's on the metal, you're hearing the knurling on this side of the pocket. So let me hold it out a little. So it's not, there's no friction there because it's metal on this side, metal on that side, and it's sliding between the metal there. So that works well. Of course, then you've got a little bit of flashlight poking up here out of the top. However, it gives you something to grab and easily pull it out if you need to use it. So right now, that's been the way that I've been carrying it. However, you can also take the clip off. Ow, ow, ooh, it always does that. When I pull it out, it pinches my fingers in there. Okay, so let's turn this around. There we go. All right. And now we can deep pocket carry it this way. But again, you're going to have a little bit of a saw blade on your pants there, and then you've got to push to get past that break point right there, which it doesn't, like, there we go. Now it goes. So now you got deep pocket carry. So that's, you can't really beat that. That's pretty good. But of course, then you don't have as much to grab onto in that regard. So you've got to kind of get your hand down in your pocket to be able to pull it out quickly. And then I doubt you're probably going to carry it that way. If you do, you're probably silly. But anyway, I guess you have the option of carrying it that way. So really there's, I would say, 3 usable ways to carry it between the 2 positions of the clip. Obviously, you could also use that on a ball cap, but yeah, I think that's going to be a pretty heavy light to use for using on a ball cap. But anyway, there you go. And if we compare that to other similar flashlights, this is the Phoenix, which, as you can see, this is the Phoenix PD 36 tack, which is really about the same exact size. And it only has one way to do the clip. And there you go. But since it doesn't have that really heavy-duty knurling, I don't get any saw blade effect when I pull it in and out of my pants. So there you go. And then the PD25, the original version, that's like the easiest pocket carry ever. So that goes right in and out really easy. But yeah, the Olight, that's how it looks in the pants. It's pretty easy to carry for its size, and it has the capability of doing a deep pocket carry, which a lot of these tactical flashlights of this size can't really do because of their clip. So that is one advantage of this Olight, is that it has a lot of options for you when it comes to pocket carry. Another word on pocket carry is, and I've just had this for a short period of time, I've only been carrying it a few days now, so I can't say on, having any issues yet with it accidentally turning on in my pocket. I know that, the proximity sensor, that's a nice thing to have on it to not, if it does turn on in my pocket, I know that it's going to step down to a less heat intensive setting, whereas this flashlight, in 1 week of carrying it, I actually had it turn on in my pocket because I don't use lockouts on flashlights. I really think it's silly to have a lockout on a self-defense flashlight, because the last thing that an attacker is going to wait for is you to figure out how to turn off your lockout. I've carried this almost every day in my pocket for the last 8 years prior to getting these other 2 flashlights I just showed you. In those 8 years, it's accidentally turned on in my pocket 0 times. I repeat, 0 times. There's no lock on it. It's just because of that nice tail switch that, takes some force to turn on and off. It is never turned on in my pocket. So you don't need a lockout. You just need a good design from the manufacturer. And so I refuse to use lockouts. So this one, I love this flashlight, but this switch makes it too easy to turn on. This one, I think the switch being recessed, it's going to be a lot harder to get it to turn on accidentally. And I think this switch is going to take a little bit to get the turn on as well. And then you've got the proximity sensor in it, which helps out in case it does accidentally turn on. So yeah, I just think manufacturers just need to, if it's a self-defense tactical flashlight, a lockout is not something that I want to use. So I definitely encourage manufacturers to make something that doesn't, that can work where you've got instant access to the turbo and strobe modes at all time. Yeah, this one you can put it on lockout, and a lot of people say, well, just use muscle memory to know to turn that switch before you pull it out and use it. But I mean, that's an extra step, and so yeah, I'm not real fond on extra steps. It should just be instantly available. So anyway, that's my my thoughts on lockouts. All right, so let's real quickly just talk about the finish on these 2 flashlights, since these are both Olights. They're both in the orange finish. I just thought it was interesting looking at these lights side by side. I don't know how much it picks up on this camera or not, but the Baton 3 actually does look a bit lighter in the orange color, where the Warrior 3S looks a bit darker. Just something to, just wanted something to point out to you. I think the color looks great on both flashlights. I don't know if it's like that in every case. I don't know if they just, whichever tint of the orange that they've got available, that's what they use on the flashlights, or if the Baton has a particular tint that they use, and then the Warrior 3S has a particular tint that they use, and they just kind of change the tint to make it match the flashlight better, whatever. I don't know, I can't say for sure. All I know is I got 2 flashlights here in front of me. They're both orange. One's a little darker, one's a little lighter. So pointing it out for you. Real quick, I want to point out, in case you're familiar with the Baton, you've used the side switch on this and how it feels. I just want to say that the Warrior 3, I mean, they look like they're pretty much the same switch, but I will say they feel just a tad bit different, not much at all. The Warrior 3 definitely has a more definite click to it, where the Baton feels just a smidgen mushier, and it doesn't have as much of a satisfying click. Where this one, the Warrior, you can feel the click more and you hear the click more. It's very minute, but again, I like pointing out as much information as possible. All right, so the strike bezel on this flashlight is very mild. I can run my finger around it and it doesn't feel, you know, rough at all. I mean, it's just, you know, I can feel the texture of it, but it's definitely nothing nothing sharp or jaggedy. I mean, I'm like really pushing this into my hand and it's like, yeah, whatever. But I mean, I definitely think, you know, the size of the light it's a good sized light. There's some mass behind it, so it will still work well as a self-defense weapon if you have to use it in that regard. Hopefully you never have to, but it does have some mass to it. So even though it's a very mild strike bezel here, I still think it's usable. Looking at the reflector, that's what it looks like there. I'm not going to pretend to be some type of expert on reflectors, so I won't have really any real commentary at this point in the video. I'll just kind of show you what it looks like. And unlike the baton that has this recessed lens that kind of goes down, it's concave, my finger kind of goes down into it, the Warrior lens is flat, but that's what it looks like. Now, since it is an orange colored flashlight, I would have expected the lens to be an orange peel design. It doesn't appear to be so, but yeah, I would kind of expect that. Yeah, that was supposed to be a joke, but hey. If it wasn't funny, you can have your money back. So there you go. So that's what it looks like. Here's some outdoor shots of the Warrior 3 Pro. This is the turbo mode. There's the medium setting. There's the high setting. So definitely a difference between the high setting and the turbo. Big difference on this flashlight. And strobe warning, here's the strobe. And as an FYI, so you're wondering out there, that's a life-size cardboard cutout of Elvis Presley, about 80 feet out at the tree line there. And so he is hanging out there, using that as an example to kind of show what somebody would look like at about 80 feet out. Again, that's a life-size cutout of him. All right, let's compare some other flashlights to the Warrior. Here is the the PD36 TAC. And that is, I believe, the high setting. Oh, that's the high setting. There's the high setting. Or no, that's the high setting. And that's the low setting. Let's go to the turbo mode. Yeah, that's 2000 lumens. Again, switch it back to here. 3, 4. There we go. That's, I believe, 3000 lumens on the PD36 TAC. And here is the TK. I'm still got a flashlight on. Here is the TK 16, the original version by Phoenix. Which is a more spotty type beam. I believe this is 1000 lumens on this particular light. Okay, so now we're about 65 feet from Elvis. This is the Olight. Nice beam profile there. Elvis is kind of a reflective surface since he's printed cardboard. So he kind of reflects a little bit. A real person wouldn't reflect that much. but you can obviously see that this thing's got a lot of juice to it. Comparing it to the PD36 tack. Whoops, there we go. All right. So as you can see, this profile, this has a nice profile too. I like this light in that there's not really, you don't really see the circle of the hot spot. Or if I turn on the I turn on the Warrior 3, and you can definitely see more of the spotlight effect. Or here's the PD36, Warrior 3. It's also a cooler white compared to the Phoenix PD36 tack. Okay, so now let's light up some of the trees in the background with the Olight. And do the same thing with the Phoenix PD36 tack. As another comparison, here is a Phoenix LD30. Let's get it on its highest setting. I guess that was it right there. I've always liked the beam on this light as well. Definitely not as throwy though as the other flashlights. And just for funsies, here's that freebie flashlight, keychain flashlight that came with the Warrior 3. Actually not bad. Consider it's just a little AAA flashlight. I mean, it's not really, it doesn't really have much throw, but it definitely has plenty of light for a keychain flashlight. Here's a side-by-side beam profile. Let me make sure I've got, okay, that's on medium. I don't know what that's on. Oops, come on. That's low, that's medium, okay. All right, so here's a side-by-side profile of this is the Warrior 3 on the right and the Phoenix PD36 tack on the left. Kind of see a difference there. Okay, I'm gonna turn off the PD36 and now turn on the TK16, the original version. Oops, get the right buttons here. So as you can see, the TK is definitely a much spottier light. Doesn't have as much flood, whereas the Olight definitely has more. Actually, yeah, you can see the cutoff there on the TK, where it just kind of gradually fades out on the Olight. All right, here's some inside beam shots of the new flashlight. First, I'm going to go into the lower setting. Let's see where that's medium right there, actually. Push and hold, that's high. Push and hold again, now that's low. Turn it off, and I'm gonna push and hold and go in the moonlight. As you can see, you can barely see anything with moonlight, that's the point. And here is turbo mode. Very bright. And then here's the strobe inside. All right. And as a comparison, here is the PD36 tack. That's in turbo. And here is a lower setting on it. That would be the low Efficient for flashlights. On the flashlight. Reel it in. Medium and high. Again, this is the PD 36 tack, just as a comparison. All right, the final words on this flashlight, I'll keep it brief because this video it's long enough already. But yeah, overall, my final thoughts are I like it. It's a really nice light. I mean, it's beautiful to behold. It's well constructed, well made. Some of the UI stuff is a little bit counter to what I'm used to, but I'm willing to spend some time with it and play with it and yeah, see how it works out for me. And I don't know if it's my, well, it's definitely not my end-all be-all pocket carry EDC tactical flashlight, but it definitely hits on a lot of the good marks. I think the thing that's holding it back for me is the recessed tail switch just being a little too hard to get to. The knurling I love, but it needs, in order to do deep carry without tearing up your pants, it definitely needs an adjustment there. I think that idea I had with the clip is a great idea. I hope that Olight will do something along those lines. And but otherwise, I think it's a pretty fantastic light. I still prefer having everything on the tail switch. You know, I like the dual tail switch design on a lot of flashlights, such as the TK16. On this one here, I like that dual tail cap design where you've got everything right in one spot. I think that's a brilliant design. I also like the idea of the all-in-one tail cap, or just tail switch on the end here, where you've got one tail switch to do everything in one spot. I think is great, and then you can turn it on. You can, of course, see the button's too smushy. That's the downside to it. But I like the idea of this flashlight, where you can then, come on, you. All right, am I in the wrong mode? That's why I'm in the wrong mode. Yeah, so you can then switch through the different lighting settings, but it's too touchy of a tail switch to really work. If Phoenix would fix this tail switch, it would be a perfect design. So both of these tail switches, I like the concept of this one, and I love the execution of this one. I think both of these ideas are the best ideas for my use. But yeah, I don't like having side switches on flashlights. It's not my ideal thing, because then you're oscillating between two different locations. But the fact that you can set this up so you've always got this in strobe and turbo mode on the tail switch is great. And then when you just want to use it as a task light, then you can put in this orientation. So I think that's pretty cool. But it's just, yeah, I still prefer everything on the end of the light. But yeah, this is a cool light, and I'm definitely going to give it a thorough workout and carry it for a while to really see how I bond with it. But my first impression of it is it's definitely a fantastic light, and I really do like it a lot. But hopefully my opinion doesn't matter to you. Instead, all the information that I shared in this video, I hope that's what does matter to you, and it allows you to form your own opinion of what you think of this light, and if you think it's something that'll be worthwhile for you to purchase. So I appreciate you watching this video, and God bless you. See you later.